two-point conversion, and Texas A&M.
Highest scoring game in FBS history. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? LSU loses that game. Highest scoring game. Where you at, Moscona? Had to move it from the sports bar into the hotel room. Didn't know if your boy was going to make it. What an incredible football game. God dog, man, that officiating crew. That is unbelievable that that game ended like that. Waiting on Scony. Yes, indeed, Timor. That was unbelievable. Waiting on Moscona. Got to talk about the refs, JT. Got to talk about them. How many times? I mean, that 4th and 18, that is the worst call I've ever seen. And the fact that that was not reviewed, I mean, that's what it goes back down to me. I mean, all right, Scone's coming in right now. Matthew Wheeler, that game should have never went to OT, no doubt about it. Buddy. Got me, bro?
Bro. The hell did we just watch?
Dude, that was the highest scoring game in FBS history that featured LSU.
Ugh.
74 to 72.
Bro.
I don't know. Yeah. Let's get on to it, bro.
So I gotta tell you this, dude. Hold on. Let me. No, go ahead. No, I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. All right,
no,
make sure you
I'm
hit the register. They got live
pages
music coming at you right now. We also make sure and hit them on the Facebook page, like them, give them a follow there. Make sure and share this for us. Remember, we remind you every week. That's how this platform works, by you sharing, you inviting your friends, telling a friend. Tonight should be pretty interactive because gotta be, bro.
I imagine everybody's still up.
I mean, like if you went to bed on that one, what are you watching for? Turn it in.
I mean, bro, do you know what's the funniest thing in this whole shit? So like,
yes,
I had the Dwayne from Thibodeau bet, right? Like everybody knows that. And so whatever, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with that, my nerves are shot now. I don't even give a shit. But it's like, right. Bro, like as soon as Delpit had the pick, my Twitter's blowing up, bet, pay up 500. I'm like, I'm coming in here getting ready to do this. I went and took a piss. And I looked at the TV again, and it says calls being reviewed. I'm going, calls being reviewed? Like it was a pick? What are they reviewing?
I know.
And I tell you, dude, they got that one right. I mean, Mon's knee was down. And I know how this is gonna go, bro. Everybody's gonna be pissed about the 3rd and 18.
Bro, that's the most
sure shit looked like he was short to me.
On all fronts. Like the fact that it wasn't reviewed, the fact that that spot was not reviewed in that moment, at that part of the game when it was obviously like to on the field officiating as many times as you call into the sideline for the chains, for that play to go unchecked. I mean, in that moment, to me, in a night that featured egregious call after inexcusable call, that was the worst one. I mean, bro, that was That ball was clearly a yard shy. And the fact in that moment on a 4th down that play was not – the game was not stopped, reviewed, and checked on that point. Like, man, I'm not here to tell you that the SEC has their hand in the games and the outcomes and tell you, like, I don't believe in all that stuff. But they will have questions to be answered on Monday morning just about that simple part of the game. Like, how is that? That's so important on the outcome of the game. How in that moment is that not just protocol? Like, hey, man, we got to go to Birmingham. We got to check the spot here.
Well, you have a replay official in the booth.
I'm not here to tell you that the SEC.
You've got and here's the other thing that we
that's
learned.
my bad.
Right?
That's my bad. I hit that.
I'm hearing a playback on you. Oh, okay. So just for what it's worth, like, this is what we learned. Do you remember earlier this year? It was the Florida game, I think, when there was a play with Clyde. When there was a bad spot.
Right.
You remember that?
Right.
It was like a 3rd down play. He was short, or they ruled him short, but it looked like he got it. And I asked Ed the Monday after, and I said, "Hey, man, what's the protocol there?" He said, "Coaches in the booth see it." He said, "But they only see, like, the way it was explained to me." Not what Ed said in that press conference, but the way it was explained to me by someone in, let's call it an administrative spot, was that this is what I railed on, Jordy. There is no uniformity in the SEC as far as what views and angles are available to coaches and to the replay officials in that moment. And sometimes that process is quicker than others to get replay views to the booth so they can look at it. All right, so if you're on the field, you make that call, you feel like it's a good spot, you're rolling, A&M hurries up to the line and they spike the ball, it's over. If the replay official or the coach in the booth didn't get a view in time that would be adequate, there's nothing you can do. And this is what pisses, because, like, your point is spot on. The guy was a yard short. I mean, he was short. And you could tell, ball in the hand, short of the line. I mean, it was clear as day. Game over right there. Like, if you're going to have – and the flip side of it, dude, is the one they did review. Remember with the A&M scoop and score that they brought back early in the game?
Right.
Remember, it was a pass to D. Anderson, I think, and it went off his hands and popped up. But it obviously hit the ground. I'm like, okay, I even tweeted this. I'm like, all right, thank God for replay. Like, you need to have it. But the obvious ones you got to get right on the field. It's like, I'm glad they have replay. But the obvious ones, you can't miss that, man. Like, I understand you're going to miss calls. But listen, here's the other part of it too, all right? And this is the part that LSU fans aren't going to want to hear, but this is a reality of it too. Even after that, Jordy, there was a 10-second runoff. There were 26 seconds left in the game. A&M had no timeouts, and you let them go down the field and put it in the end zone with no time left. At some point, nut up and make a fucking play. Excuse me, but make a fucking play. And then you had 7 overtimes to do it.
Let me say this before we get there, because I agree with that. And that,
come on.
That needed to happen in that moment. But you and I sat at halftime and criticized Dave Aranda and his group for being shoved around by a team in Texas A&M that was, from a personnel standpoint, probably didn't match up man for man, but they were bringing the punch to LSU. At halftime, Dave Aranda and his defense came out and made an adjustment. Check out the end of regulation, possessions, or the second half possessions for Texas A&M. Punt, LSU forces a fumble, touchdown, divinity, scoop and score, punt, fumble again, punt, turnover on downs, the interception by Delpit that you thought ended the game, turned out did not, and then they go into overtime where LSU, and, you know, I'll say it again, and we'll mention it all night, LSU was a part of the highest scoring FBS game in the history of college football tonight, which is incredible. I mean, like 74-72, and they're on the bad end of it after making those halftime adjustments and battling the referees. But I agree with you, Matt. You know, I agree with yeah, at some point, you've got to overcome all the elements in a football game and step up and make a play. And it seemed like when LSU did that tonight, Texas A&M answered in overtime. I thought that LSU held the advantage a couple of times there with the way that they had scored first, 2-point, and then A&M comes right back and answers. So I mean, look, that's a big time football game.
Yeah.
But for LSU, what they lost out on tonight, I mean, we'll talk about the ramifications of this loss. I mean, it's brutal in the moment to lose in 7 overtimes in that fashion. But when you think about what was on the line for the program this year, and potentially what bowl and what postseason could have meant here. I mean, it just devastating loss.
Dude, the I mean, all of that I agree with. What I'm gonna do is, Jordy, like I was sitting there during overtime, regardless of how it went, I'm thinking, how are we gonna do this show, right? I mean, like we could go back to the first half, and we could talk about, the we could talk about, Giles. We could talk about Giles muffing the punt, which, I mean, dude, that seems like a lifetime ago. But Giles being a goat, and then it's like Devin White with the strip, and it looks like he saves the game because at that moment A&M's up 7, and they're at midfield. Looks like they're going to go and make it a 2-score game and maybe bleed the clock. Dude, we can go to the end of the half whenever Cole Tracy made the field goal and the walk-off, at the gun. We can go to Cole Tracy's miss. Like how that – I mean, my point is like we can go – a game like that goes 5 hours, we could go back and talk about a million different things in this game. So, dude, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to look at the chat, and as I see just a question or an angle that someone throws up, and it's scrolling like almost like just an automatic scroll, I'm just going to throw something out there. I just saw somebody mention the fumble in overtime with Sternberger. I get it. Like I'm going to be in the minority here. I don't think that's a fumble because it's got to be possession, turn up field, like football move and start progressing the football in super slow-mo as he's turning. The guy puts his helmet on the ball. I mean, I don't think that's something that's going to get overturned in the booth. And they had plenty of time to look at it. So clearly, like, that wasn't something that they even felt like they needed to review, and I kind of agreed on that. Like the thing that I had a major issue with was the fourth and the third.
I agree that's the worst call of the night. But here's what I'll tell you on the fumble and overtime. Again, in that game of this magnitude, in that moment, you have to go upstairs and review it. Like you have to take a look at that, because while I agree with you, in the moment I thought to myself, but then I tweeted out after like seeing it again, that's a fumble. And then I saw it and I was like, well, maybe it's not. But then that's the type of play to me that has to go upstairs. That's why do you have replay if you can't utilize it for moments like that? I mean, while you and I could go back and forth, it looked like he made a football move after he had possession of it and it got knocked loose. I mean, That to me is another great example. Like the 3rd and 18 is inexcusable. How you don't go to review that.
Even still, I agree. I understand. Even still, you still have another play. It still would have been 4th and 18. So the game wouldn't necessarily have ended right there. But I do.
And for the Giles situation, I'm not gonna bang on the kid because I think we did that in weeks 1, 4, 8, and now I'm not going to do it again. To me, at some point, if you're LSU and you didn't think that kid back there was going to bite you at just an inopportune moment, like no moment is good for that. But if you can go back to that singular moment in the game and look at the swing, I mean, all year long, I've questioned, how do you have punt safe at LSU? I mean, how are you going to play punt safe every single possession, especially when you have an offense that's as inconsistent as yours is?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like the 2011 comparison fits so well here because, I mean, like, you didn't know what they were going to do on offense, but you knew that Matthew was going to give you a chance to either change the scoreboard or set you up in good field position.
Yeah.
I gotta believe that LSU has that guy on the roster, and for him to still be returning kicks, punts in the last regular season game of the year, and that's inexcusable, man.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable. The halfback pass was awesome. I think that was a great call. That was a great call.
I agree. Yeah, great call. I mean, do you know what's annoying about that? I'm serious. What's annoying about that? When you look at the offense, you realize how creative they can be. And I'll grant you to A&M, like both defenses were so dog tired by that point. I mean, pretty much everything the offenses did worked. You know what was more amazing to me about overtime?
Yeah.
There were no turnovers and really very few penalties. I saw someone posted just a second ago was a PI on Greedy. Bro, come on. Like, Greedy mugged the guy. The guy was, I mean, that 13 was having his way. I mean, and Jordy,
yeah, man.
I've watched A&M this year. I ain't seen 13 all year, bro. I mean, he just had the game. That kid just had the game of his life, man. I know Jamin Osborne. I remember when he was being recruited, but, Kendrick Rogers, I mean,
LSU was penalized.
He just came up with every big play when they needed it, man.
3 for 24 for Texas A&M. Both teams only one turnover apiece, bro. When you look at just the amount of football played tonight, time of possession, both teams, 31-30 for A&M, 28-30 for LSU. The yardage, as you mentioned, coming in 521 for the Aggies, 496 for LSU. Highest scoring game in FBS history.
Bro, how about
outmanned?
How about
outmanned?
Ridiculous. Oh my God! Dude, even where was the play? Which overtime was it when he false started? Dude, I'm looking. Dude, there's something else I got here. Oh, it was in the first overtime. You had 3rd and 7, false start 3rd and 12. That's when they sacked Burrow and set the 50-yard field goal. Bro, how about Cole Tracy coming up with a 50-yard field goal in overtime? By the way, Cole Tracy had to win the Groza tonight. Like the kid Andre Smith from Syria. I know people probably don't care about individual awards, but or at least not in this moment. But I think Cole Tracy won the Groza tonight. I had on my show last week, Art Carmody, who was a kicker at Louisville in 06 and won the Groza. He's from Shreveport. And he was like, yeah, most people hold their ballot to the final game. Like,
good point.
If people were holding their ballot for that and they saw it tonight and you go in overtime and you kids drilling a 50-yarder and then the second one he made was it came after that was after the delay of games. Which overtime was that? The 4th overtime after the delay. Bro, you know the other thing, man?
They're down to
Paris in the game in the 5th overtime.
Who went out of the game?
No, 45 and 90 went out. There was a different overtime. It was the same overtime.
Right.
Phillips got ejected for targeting in the 4th overtime.
Didn't something happen to
overtime on that run by Mon?
Kerry Vincent? Okay.
Oh, Kerry Vincent with his shoulder, but that was in regulation.
I was saying the same thing.
In.
I was saying the same thing because
that was on a deep ball.
He was lost.
Dude, Paris came in. They went right after him. He gave up the touchdown. And that was my God. That was the 4th down play on the right side of the end zone. It was like LSU had scored and missed the 2-point conversion. And then A&M scored on Ed Paris on that 4th down play. It was 4th down, and that was the drive when 45 and 90 both came out for injury, and you're thinking, all right, well, this is probably it here. And they come down to 4th down, and then they
went right after him.
I was in the game, bro.
I thought for the defensive backs, I mean, I thought immediately why he was in the game was because, I mean, they needed a blow or somebody had gotten banged up again and had to come out of the game, and they were just down bodies. Did Kelvin Joseph play? Like,
He did get in the game, not much, but he was in. They highlighted him at one point in the fourth quarter when
I
he
can't
was in
even
the game
remember. I can't
at the
even
right
remember
wide corner
regulation.
spot. I know that's my point. It's like when you have a game like that goes 5 hours and spans 200 plays, it's like, what do you focus on? That's why I was like, so someone just asked Seth McGee bowl game. Jordy, I feel like I'm a lone wolf over here screaming this. I think LSU still has a shot at New Year's Six. Like, it's very clear to me, to everybody, the committee values LSU's body of work to this point, right? I mean, they were ranked ahead of 3 one-loss teams and an undefeated Central Florida. Okay, so committee values LSU. We've seen 9-3 teams get in the new. Ole Miss did it in 2015 as a 9-3 team. So I think LSU has a great shot of going to the Peach Bowl as a 9-3 team. Now you can decide, like, do you really want to go to the Peach Bowl and play Central Florida? Maybe not. But I'd rather that than back to the Capital One Bowl again, or to Tampa to play in front of 20,000 people at 10 a.m. on New Year's Day. So, dude, maybe. Do you have an opinion on that? I mean, I feel like I'm the only one who said that all week. Like, I think they still have a great shot because the cluster of teams that's going to be in that conversation is going to be 9-3 LSU, 9-3 Florida. Like, I think if Oklahoma beats, or like a 9-3 West Virginia.
Well, I think that their body of work is definitely
here?
going to be respected because it's been so much respected all season long. But man, so who's going to go to the Sugar? Georgia?
If Georgia loses to Bama, Georgia will go to the Sugar, in my opinion. And now, the question is who else is in the playoff? Because, I mean, obviously, Bama, if they beat Georgia, Clemson, and Notre Dame are in. The question is who's the fourth spot. And I think your decision is either one-loss Ohio State if they beat Northwestern or one-loss Oklahoma. State's loss would be a blowout to Purdue, like a 30-point loss to Purdue. So that's just my guess. I don't know. I mean, they've got Oklahoma ranked higher right now.
No,
I don't know why that would change.
I think it is a possibility when you lay it out and you look at it from, just kind of an objective view of the possibilities and what LSU has accomplished. I mean, it's not so far-fetched to believe that they could be an option there because of their schedule. I mean, when you look at their schedule holistically, even this A&M game tonight, I mean, A&M's only lost one game at Kyle Field all season long. That was against Clemson. I mean, it's a bad loss for LSU, though. I mean, like, just from ramification-wise, I mean, it's just they put a lot of pressure on that game this week on what it was going to withhold, what it was going to bring with it, and to be on the losing end now, I think you're starting to see what kind of like just what exactly it means for you to forfeit a 10-win season, to stamp your ticket to a Power Six bowl on New Year's Day, and kind of that order of relevance from a program growing under a new head coach, and the growth and the development you want to take after year two. I mean, all that kind of just stumped tonight.
Bro, I'm holding this bottle of Kentucky Owl 11-year rye. This is super hard to find and very expensive and awesome. And I don't give a shit. I'm drinking it. I need something like amazing. And this is Mr. Bar. We appreciate them so much for sponsoring whiskey and wine all throughout the football season. All right, let's get to questions. Craig Dugas, Peach, the old Chick-fil-A. It is, but it's part of the New Year's Six now, so it's a better game than what it used to be when it was just that. One says when he called time. Oh, I didn't see it. You shut down a team all half, then go prevent. They throw all over you. Did you?
Yeah.
I guess they mean like at the end of regulation there.
I thought the end of the game for both LSU's defense and offense. I mean, really, offensively, all you needed was one first down at the end, and you win. You know?
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? God, dude, you're so right. Like, you just forget about things in the game. They went super conservative and didn't want to risk an incomplete pass, so they went run to bleed
One first
A&M's
down.
timeouts, and they gave them the ball back. And you know what? The other thing, though, I didn't mind. I think when A&M has no timeouts and they got to go 60 yards, I don't mind giving them 15 yards underneath. You know, like the people call it the prevent. Like the one thing you can't do there is what happened to the Saints
Gotta
in
stay
Minnesota.
deep as the deepest.
Is give up the big play. It's so, like you've got in front of you and make a tackle. And God bless, man. They made 3 plays, just got the ball downfield, clocked it, worked the time well, and then the kid made a play in the back of the end zone. God bless, man. I mean, I just, you know, I don't have a problem with how they handled that. Sometimes the other guys make plays, man. And 13 made a play in the back of the end zone. Well, was it 13 or was it 14 in regulation?
It was 14. Right? Was it actually 14 who ran the skinny post. Or that may have been one of the OTs, actually.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the box score here.
Christ,
I thought Justin Jefferson played real well tonight. Boy, Leonard Fournette on that drop. Foster Moreau played good. Yeah. Dude, yeah, Jamar Chase had a key drop on a slant.
Leonard's. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And it was just after he had made the phenomenal catch before it. God, I'm going back to my notes. Jamar Chase's catch was amazing. Giles, you know what, bro? Giles had a nice play
on the bubble
on LSU's first touchdown drive.
Yeah.
LSU had 2nd and 8. They threw the little bubble to him, and I'm like, you know what, man? When you can't run the ball and you have to throw short passes as an extension of your run, this is what he did at Texas Tech. I'm like, this is his game.
The most surprising part about that play was that he ran away from the defender. That's the first time I've seen him gain any type of separation from anybody on an SEC field. But, I mean, like, dude, the fact that kid was back there in the final regular season game still fielding punts for you, and you knew all year long that he hadn't cost you, he hadn't burned you yet, but you could feel it coming. I mean, Derek Stingley Jr., he was on our show Monday. I told him, get ready, bro. You're returning punts, openings. I mean, you're the punt returner in 2019.
I just can't believe they don't have anybody else. And Jordy, it's not just a muff. On the first one, the first punt, when he kicked it 58 yards.
Again.
He catches the ball and retreats back to his 10-yard line.
We've done this before, man.
I'm like, and then after the muff, the next one they put him back out there, he fair catches it when he's got 20 yards in front of him. Anyway, it's at this point,
dude, you know what I hate too about this game is that it's going to live on with the Guy Morris images of the Gatorade dump. I mean,
bro.
I knew
no doubt.
I knew when the game went to overtime.
LSU just Guy Morris it. There's no
felt
question.
Like deep down, like the Gatorade dump is the jinx. I mean, they're not going to win. This is the Guy Morris effect.
Yeah. It was. Someone said, I can't believe Aranda gave up 80.
Man. Check the final 30 minutes of regulation. The guy strangled Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo won round 1 in the first half overwhelmingly. Aranda and LSU's defense made great adjustments, dominated the second half. But you know what? Even still, man, without Devin White's strip, divinity scoop score, how are you feeling? Like at that point in the game, Jordy, there's 7 minutes, A&M's up 7, and they have the ball at midfield. And remember that was, hold on. They were, because that was after the Giles muff. Hang on. So remember, LSU goes 3 and out. I'm sorry, A&M gets the ball start the second half, goes 3 and out. That's where Giles retreated to his 10. That's when LSU went on that 15-play drive. Remember it? So A&M's defense is out there, 15 plays, gassed. LSU ties it at 17. Comes out. A&M goes 3 and out. They have to punt. A&M's defense has to go right back out there. Like, that's the moment. And instead, Giles muffs it. A&M scores. Now LSU gets the ball back, and A&M forced a punt. So it's like that. You're at this moment in the game where LSU. I'm sorry. So the punt was the A&M's punt was the first play of the fourth. They had the block in the back on 3rd and 1. They moved on Jacob Phillips. So A&M had good field position. They start moving, and you're like, okay, they're up 7. There was 7 minutes, just over 7 minutes left in the ball game, and you're like, man, they go and score here. Points here, they go up 2 scores. It's like I don't think LSU's got time, to catch up if they bleed the clock. And instead, you get the fumble, and now all of a sudden it's a brand new ball game. With LSU having all the momentum. It's crazy how that flipped, man. It just volleyed the whole game. It was a wild game.
It was a crazy
man.
game, man. A crazy game with a crazy ending.
Anyway. Someone said, have you ever seen the knee down?
No, but
call
it was the
before?
right call.
Yeah. It's an odd one, but it's the right call. It is.
I actually thought that they missed one in the
Are we frozen?
in the first half. Was Stephon Sullivan caught an out route right in front of A&M's bench, and he went down to his knee to catch it. When he came up, like they didn't whistle it dead. They just kept the ball in play. And Anthony Piazza and I were sitting in the bar, like watching the game, like shouldn't he have been down right there? And then to see that play come back and haunt LSU at the end, like it did, was never seen in that type of moment for sure.
Nah, bro, they can't. They can't miss calls that benefit LSU, Jordy. That's against the rules. No, but you know what? No, but I texted you this, and I'm serious about it. Like, Jimbo Fisher not going for 2 at the end of regulation was chicken shit. Like, you won the lottery
false start
and didn't go cash the ticket. It's like you were a thief in the night.
Yeah, but didn't they have a false start on the extra
about
point?
In regulation. Like,
and didn't they move him like a yard up, and he decided to stick with it and kick it?
I thought that was no. That was in. I thought that was in overtime. That was in overtime on a 2-point conversion when they had a false start. No, because remember, that was after Greedy's penalties in the end zone, and then they got then A&M false started. They moved him back to the 6. Remember?
I mean, yeah,
for
sure.
Poor kid. I mean, it worked out for him, but poor kid. It's like,
No, dude, that is what happened at the end of regulation.
What the hell are we talking about?
When they scored in the end of regulation, LSU got penalized for a neutral zone penalty on the first kick, and Jimbo had yes, and he accepted
on the kick,
it
on the
and
kick,
decided,
yes.
or
They were
excuse me,
offside.
declined it and kept the points.
He declined it, but even still, my point is you're right, but even still, I was thinking there was a false start that moved them closer, but no, like you're right. Even still, regardless, closer or not, he still should have gone for 2 there. Like, you pulled a horseshoe out of your ass by it's interception, game over. Oh, they go review. Mon's knee is down. Then you get the 3rd and 18. You spike it. You score with 1 second on the clock. They review to make sure there's 1 second left. You know what I mean? And you score on it. Like, at that, the game's over. Like, you've got to, at that point, it's another. You got to go for 2 in that moment. Now, I mean, it worked out for him. I mean, they all, but I don't understand how in that moment, like I got so much respect for, Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State against Oklahoma did the same thing. Who's the
Against
creepy
Texas,
Holgerson
against
did
Texas.
it with West Virginia against Oklahoma or against Texas. Yeah, against Texas. Same shit. It's like I just got so much respect, man. It's like go win the game. Go like you got 3 yards, like 3 yards. Dial up your play, get your guy open, convert, and go win a game. Live with the result. Jimbo, you're 7-4. You can go 8-4. You can go 7-5. Does it really matter? Like go show your team you got faith in them. Anyway, I could not believe in that moment that he kicked the PAT. But anyway, Matt Boyles, no review on 4th and 18 spot, illegal formation. Blah blah blah. Two false starts missed by A&M running backs, inexcusable. I didn't see the false starts on the running back. Like the one where the motion was legit. Like the kid was going in motion, the fullback. Like that's something that's common. Les's fullbacks did that all the time. They kind of creep, shuffle in motion to whatever side of the line and block to set the edge. So I didn't think that was. Let's see. Loose ball. I touch it with my knee. I don't know what that. Let's see. Paul Batt said, Jimbo's walking the Houston area scooping up recruits. Oh, Arrow was fun. Do you have a strong feeling
I don't know
that
if it
like
has
this
that type
game
of
has
effect, but
that
I
kind
think
of
for
effect?
Jimbo now to sell that the streak of 7 straight wins for LSU is over on the recruiting trail, I think is a feather in his cap. I don't know if it means as much to the overall immediate recruiting emphasis to LSU and A&M, but this is a step in Jimbo at Texas A&M trying to shift the dynamic of the West, of A&M being relevant in the conversation up there with Alabama, that they had to get over the LSU hump. I mean, think about how you and I talked about the A&M series for the last 6 years. I mean, you really kind of talked about it like the Arkansas series early on. Like, like they care about it a lot more than the LSU side does. Now, with a win tonight, Jimbo can sell that they no longer are 7-0 against us, or 6-0 since we've been in the conference. So I think it has relevance, man. I think that's part of Jimbo's plan. Kind of just take down one power at a time, and trying to get as close to Alabama as possible.
A&M still lost this year to Alabama. They still lost at Auburn. They still lost at Mississippi State. And they needed 7 overtimes and really a miracle at the end to beat LSU. I'm not going to say that A&M's there. They're clearly better than they were under Sumlin. I mean, they're just Jimbo has constructed this team to look more like what an SEC power is. They're really good on the lines of scrimmage. They can run the ball. They play good run defense. I mean, they still got a ways to go before you're talking about a team that's ready to compete every single year, to win the West. But someone asked about Cliff Kingsbury, man. You saw that today. Kingsbury, there's a report out of San Antonio that Kingsbury is going to get fired at Texas Tech. Jordy might have left. He go. Did Matt watch the same game? Trey, Matt, what game were you watching? False start. What? Which one? The false start on the running back? That wasn't a false start. Like, Jordy, come back, man. He's some help. It's like Stinchcomb even explained it. Like, when you're talking 12, the fullback started shuffling to the right. That's not a false start. If he started going forward, that's a false start. But you can go right in motion. Like Les's fullbacks did that all the time. That's a very common action. Zach Line does that for the Saints often. That's not a false start. Like they were right to wave that off.
No, I'm good.
I mean, I think Jordy left. Did you agree?
Yeah, bro.
Jordy?
No.
You You taking a shit? Even better, dude.
You
Dude, you
selling, Jay?
age. It's like Honey I Shrunk the
My
Kids.
my fill-in. What
Yeah,
call are
dude.
you talking about? I was
What y'all doing, man? They're talking about the
Yep.
No, you're good, dude. You got us. No, so like the false start that they waved off with the fullback that was going in motion
Right.
to the right.
What about it?
You got to catch it. So they're saying like there was comments saying like that was a bad call that they waved off the false start. I'm like, no, the kid was going in motion. Like
Yeah.
fullbacks do that commonly, right?
I thought that he was leaning though, like it was a false start. You know, I mean, I
If he would have started toward the line of scrimmage, that's a false start. If you can shuffle to the right, just like a receiver running in motion, like you had your earphones out. Les Miles' fullbacks did that all the time, like where they would kind of creep step to the right in motion and set the edge. Like that kid just took one step to the right and then they snapped the ball. But that's not a false start. Like it was a good no call there. I don't know, man. Look, I'm not surprised that we're talking this much about refs because I just understand like you lose a game like that. There's a million things you can dissect, and it's people's nature to not blame themselves. It's to blame other people for shit. And there were bad calls. There were bad calls both ways. I mean, in the end, you had a million chances to win that game and you didn't. So, you know what, man? Blame the refs, whatever you want. I just talk about a bullshit false start that they overturned or didn't call, whatever you want. The bottom line is you gave up 74 points and you had at least 7 opportunities in overtime and an opportunity in regulation to win the game.
How many
and you
plays
didn't do
did
it.
A&M
So
run
at
tonight?
some point, look at yourself in the mirror as well. 100 and they said it was the school record. 107. Hang on, I'll tell you right now. 107. A&M ran 107. LSU ran 90. Total yardage 521 for A&M, 496 for LSU. It's just so skewed when you start looking at 7 overtimes. You know what I mean? It's like yardage and scoring and touchdown. I mean, I'd love to go back and see what it was at the end of regulation. I'm sure it's very different than, you know, than what you're going to see there. I mean, they went to overtime, tied at 31,
what was the addition
right?
of time to the game in
They went to
OT?
yeah.
I mean, like, how much more time did they add onto this game
What do you
tonight
mean?
in overtime?
Oh,
Man,
yeah,
that's
no,
a
man.
four and a half
It was
hour football
around
game, huh?
10.
It was 5 hours. 5 hours.
Oh, it was 5 hours. It went 5 hours. Yeah, it went 5 hours. Yep. They went to overtime around 10:15, if I'm not mistaken, or a little before. And then it all wrapped up, you know, after 11, 11:15, 11:30. So, yeah, no, it was significant. Anyway, after midnight with Hanny should be a ball of fun. Let's see. Matt, you're thinking of a different play. I don't give a shit, man. Like, fine, Kip, wrong play. Who gives a shit? Like, this is my point, man. Like, if you're worried, like, if you went through that game and you're worried about a false start, I'm sorry, there was 200 plays.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
remember
they're talking about the
talking about.
Williams
So,
play in
do you know
overtime when
which
he
one
was
they're talking about?
leaning
Help
and
me out.
it was his shoulder. It wasn't his that fullback going in motion. You were right on that one. But the Williams play in overtime, I think, is the one that we're questioning, and just it seemed like it should have been a false start. But I'm with you, man. I mean, the officials tonight were. We talk about the officials on this show, on this platform. I mean, it usually gives us a place to talk about the officiating here. And tonight was as bad as we've seen all year long. But I mean, you still had chances to win the game. All right, a lot of people talk about Kingsbury. What would you do with this situation? Would you even bring him in? Would you even contemplate this? Would you even think about it?
I think you leave any and all options open I'm curious what Steve Ensminger is going to do. I don't think Ed Ogeron will fire Steve Ensminger, but if Steve went to Ed after the season and said, "I don't want to do this another year," that wouldn't surprise me either. Kingsbury would not be my first choice. I don't like the idea of the air raid. You've even seen tougher Big Ten teams slow that down, and I think the idea of the air raid would terrify Dave Aranda because he knows quick three and outs and his defense is on the field for 90 plays a game. Um, so that's not something that I would want to see. I'd rather a team that ran a more balanced spread, like Clemson for the spread that they run is actually right on 50-50 run pass because they have a dynamic quarterback that can tuck it and run it just as well as throw it. So that's why I've said a guy like Kendall Briles would be my choice. I would go to Houston and I would tell Kendall Briles, come to Baton Rouge, here's $1.5 million, whatever you want, come run my offense.
Yeah.
Like that would be my choice.
And you and I talked
if
about
I had a
Briles
choice,
last week after watching him play. Very impressive in watching his game against Tulane a couple of weeks back. Oh my God! Have you seen this? This photo that Hillary Shank
What?
put up of Kevin Falk on the he's in a fight on the bench.
No. Fighting?
With it like it looks like somebody who rushed the field.
With who?
One of the fans that rushed the field, and they have him just kind of locked arms in the. I'm going to retweet it from my account here, just to give context to it. There you go. So I just retweeted it.
Yeah, let me go look at it. Yeah, some people were saying, I saw some comments earlier. It was like, hey, staff members are fighting on the field. I'm looking for it.
No, it's a still shot.
Is it video?
From Hillary over at the Advocate, who covers for them on the ground. I mean, if you can see it.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's not a good look. I mean,
Yeah.
but it looks like a student.
Oh, Jesus. Is that just – is it – oh, he's got a – well, dude, he's got a credential. Look, bro. I mean, the kid in the red shirt has a credential. And it looks – dude, I don't want to speculate, but look at the logo on the shirt. It looks like an ESPN logo. Is that a radio guy? Bro, that's bad news, dude.
Oh, man.
Are you kidding me? Here, I'll share for those who are watching us that can't see this. I'll just turn my camera so I can see it.
So the story,
the
story's going.
It's a still shot.
Shay's got it. It looks like somebody punched Cragthorpe on the field, and Falk was retaliating.
Somebody punched Cragthorpe? Jesus. Ugh.
I wouldn't. You don't want to. You don't
mess around with three,
want
bro.
to toss no hands with that cat, brother. I mean, like,
come on, dude.
Wow.
God, dog,
I mean,
dude.
That. Whew. The dude in the red shirt. Yeah, that's not good.
Dude. Anyway.
Bro, I left all the wine
someone said, Jordy, what are you
bar
sipping
tonight. I'm at a hotel bar. I'm a little out of kilter tonight on the road in Orlando over here for the Advocare. We were downstairs at the sports bar drinking a little wine with the good folks down there, and I just kind of moved it up. I mean, I wanted to get up here for the Wi-Fi's sake, and then I got up here for like in the middle of the fourth quarter, kind of thinking that we'd go right at the final, and then an hour and 10 minutes later, they're still playing. So I kind of got off the sauce, man.
Someone said no way Ensminger steps down. What do you think of that?
Steps down, but I think like you and I discussed a couple of weeks back. I mean, I think that there's going to be some type of evaluation to the staff and to the offensive side of the ball, especially on not the basis that Ed Ogeron got the job and what he ran on, but I think in understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your own program. I mean, he knows that he's got to bring in a forward-thinking offensive mind to keep him relevant in his job. I mean, they can't finish triple digits in the country in offense and him still believe that he's going to have a future at LSU, because that's what he was brought in to replace. I mean, when you look at the accomplishments of the offense this year, they had some highs, they had some lows, but as far as the consistency goes, it just wasn't there. And that's really been the gripe of, I hear the fan base, and the fan base has the loud voice, but I mean, really from the program being a championship contending program year in, year out for the past decade has been a consistent offense. And, that's what he was brought in to do. So I think the evaluation of the offensive side of the ball is going to call for him to make some tough decisions this year. Do I think that he replaces Steve Ensminger? I don't think he does. But I would do this if I'm going to keep the same staff in place moving forward. I would make sure and build this consultant and analyst group as much as possible, and that means bringing in all hands on deck. Anybody that is out there that is approachable. That Hugh Freeze, if it's Cliff Kingsbury, like I told you at halftime, Matt, I would bring in Bobby Petrino from an analyst consulting role from an offensive side. It's not like he's holding press conferences and going out there and shaking hands and representing the program. Put him into an office with film, a pen and a pad, and help him and allow him to help your offensive coaching staff improve. I mean, we can argue over morals and over Petrino all day on what he is off the field. Inside the lines, he's a bright offensive mind. Just confide him to that. Just let him go break down offense and get you better doing that, because that's what LSU needs. Like that's what they're lacking. And I don't think that they make a move on the offensive coordinator spot, but he's going to have to answer questions about that position on his staff. And if I was making the decisions on that, I would make sure and beef that staff up as much as possible and give them as many resources to improve as they can. And that would mean bring in everybody. I mean, everybody that's out there that can make you better would be in play.
I would agree with you, Petrino, as a staffer. I'm curious if he gets a job somewhere else, calling plays, wherever it may be. But some guys need career rehabilitation, and Saban has been that halfway house for rehabilitating coaches at Alabama. If it was Sark, wanted to do it with Freeze last year, it wouldn't surprise me at all. He's got Enos right now as his quarterbacks coach, who'll probably be his OC in waiting if Loxley gets another head coaching job. Wouldn't surprise me. Ryan Lewis said, can we talk about rushing three all overtime?
Well,
would you think about how they played defensively in overtime?
They were out of personnel. I mean, they brought a limited crew over there. They were out there without their leader in Fehoko. I thought Rashard Lawrence played his ass off, man. I mean, there was he played his
best game of his career
ass off tonight. I mean, there was a shot of him in overtime with his helmet off, sitting almost Indian style in Texas A&M's backfield, just sucking wind. I mean, just trying to catch his wind with the effort that he brought tonight. I thought was fantastic. And the adjustments that they made at halftime from a defensive standpoint, I thought proved exactly who Dave Aranda is. I mean, we can sit here and question what the hell's going on. And then he just give him a half to see it, understand what he's got from a personnel standpoint, make the adjustments. And, I mean, he strangled Jimbo Fisher for the last 30 minutes of that game. I mean, we went down it for the opening part of the whiskey and wine here. Second half possessions for Texas A&M offensively. Punt. LSU forces a fumble, scoop and score for Divinity, turns it into 6 points for Aranda's group. Another punt, force another fumble, punt, turnover on downs, and then the game-clinching interception from Delpit, which you thought happened before Mon's knee hit the ground. I mean, in the second half, Aranda made the adjustments, and LSU was dominant on that side. I mean, when it got to overtime, it was just you play from the 25-yard line in, advantage offense all day long, especially in college football. College football is way too big of a sport to be playing flag football overtime rule. I mean, Jordan, my son, plays in a 7-year-old football. That's the football. That's the OT rules.
Yeah, from the 25, it's just conducive to offense. I'd go play another quarter of football. Like, keep the kicking game in at a full field. I'm with you. I hate the 25-yard line drill. It's stupid. There was another comment from Kevin McGee who asked about the tight end fumble, talking about Sternberger in overtime. I think we disagree on that. I certainly didn't think if they reviewed it they were going to overturn it. I didn't think it was clear enough, and if they reviewed it, no catch on the field. That's what it was going to stand on review. That's not the one I had a problem with. The one I had a problem with is when everybody's talking about was the 4th and 18 at the end of regulation. And someone did post, they're like, the yellow line was wrong. And we know that's unofficial, but I mean, I guess we can go back and see what the line to gain was. If the yellow line was a little far in advance, I don't know, but shit, if the yellow line was off, it was off by a yard. I mean, it was not close. It was not close watching it in real time.
I just retweeted the video. So, there's a video that Bleacher Report has up of the deal after the game.
Okay. Let's see. Resources. We have a top 3 DC who only rushed 3 multiple times and let Mon pick us apart.
Get out of here.
I mean, Jordy, there's some validity to picking your spots and bringing pressure to Mon. Because I'll tell you this, man, throughout the game, Kellen Mond, I mean, he had more completions, and it was because and he was erratic during the game. I mean, when pressure got on there at the end of the ball game is kind of when he locked in and started making some good throws. Bro, there was a play early in the game where he had Sternberger down the sideline, like either on maybe their second possession, he had Sternberger down the field, just overshot him. It's like badly. I mean, that was 6. He's an erratic passer. Maybe he'll get better, but I tend to agree, man. Like, force that kid into making some tough throws of pressure in his face instead of letting him sit in the pocket and flick it. I mean, it's hindsight's 20/20. I'd be lying to you right now if I said I didn't think, in the time that they needed to be rushing more. You drop 7 or 8 into coverage, man, and it's like you're making an erratic passer make pinpoint throws in traffic, and it's tough, man. It's tough playing.
And then you lose Jacob
football,
Phillips,
when you
and then
shrink
we hadn't
the field
talked
like
about
that. It's tough.
And I mean,
yeah. Oh, God.
Clear targeting. No, it's clearly targeting.
Yeah, it was targeting, and I know what people are gonna say. It's the consistency with how it's called or not called, which is the problem. I mean, you can look at that play and say, okay, yeah, he lowered his head, all that shit, fine. But the problem is the lack of consistency with which it's called. I mean, that's the problem with that rule. And I hate the fact that now he's going to miss the first half of a game a month from now, which is just stupid. Anyway, they got to fix that. Look at Mahan's completion percentage in regulation. It must be Mons, under 50%. Yeah, he was erratic. I mean, he wasn't good. Let's see. Mark Allen,
so wait, what happened? Does the Dwayne guy pay you $500 now? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, he owes me $500. LSU went 9-3. They didn't get to 10. So I won $500 on that, by the way. Hey, you know what the lesson is? You know what the lesson is?
Let me tell you who learned that lesson hard and fast this weekend, bro. It's been a bad weekend for you. Can't pick a winner. Couldn't pick a winner, bro. Can't pick one.
Oh, bro.
Okay.
On the flip side, your boys had a pretty good weekend, man. I took Missouri last night, covered with ease. I had Oklahoma -3. That was a push. Took Washington straight up. Played the money line on that one. Came out a winner. So you boys done all right. Had Florida today. Had Georgia today.
How you doing on Sundays?
Did all right. Pretty good. I don't bet Sundays, bro. Gave that shit up. I ain't got a clue. Saturdays I'm good. Sundays I ain't got a clue, dog. I was just betting to have fun on Sundays, and I was like, man, I'm losing my money. I'm losing my play money. Let's see. So what? David Bayard, they said the yellow line was 2 yards off.
Forever.
Well, there's an easy way to find this. Go find it. Hey, tell me
I'll
something
tell you what, man.
about hoops tomorrow, man.
For an
What's
early
going on?
season matchup, I think LSU's they need to win tomorrow just for their own mental state. Yesterday was a bad loss for them. I mean, just a tough loss for the group. Up 9 with 5 minutes left. Up 5 with 2 minutes left in the ball. That's a tough one to lose. Give up those offensive rebounds. I don't know if we'll see a stat line that differential throughout the year as far as what they were out rebounded and how they were yesterday. They need to win tomorrow against Oklahoma State. They'll have their work cut out for them in the matchup. So I'm looking forward to see how they bounce back. You know, this is a team that was undefeated. They've been tested, but they've been making they've been making all of their adjustments within wins. I'm anxious to see how they bounce back after a tough loss yesterday because I thought Javonte Smart had his coming out party in the second half. I thought that Nas Reed, he was hard to find in some spots down the stretch. So looking forward to seeing those guys tomorrow in what is a great environment, just a great just little matchbox gym, you know, that you can watch college basketball. So. I'm gonna make the early game too. I'm gonna go watch the championship between Florida State and Villanova at 1:00.
Ryan Mason said, please do not talk basketball right now. I respect it. Hey, you know what? I just looked it up. So, right. So the 4th and 18, the ball was at the 39-yard line. So he had to get 18 yards and he got 19. They credited him with 20, but he was down 19 yards, so he did get it. That line was off. Because if they were at the 39, then he would have had to get to the 50. Hang on. Shit, I just had it up. They credited Courtney Davis with a 20-yard reception. So it was short. The line was off.
Crazy.
So
That's crazy.
Shit. Yeah, dude, the line was what that is. And you can see, like, based on where it was, he had to get to, I guess, would have been the 48 or 47. My math is off. It's 39, so he needed to get, excuse me, he would have needed to get 7 yards on the other side of midfield, and he was 8 yards on the other side of midfield. And the line was 9 yards on the other side of midfield, which was the problem. So he did get
All right,
it.
bro, give me a closing thought.
Well, shit. Fuck. I'm somewhat speechless. I think LSU did an awesome job battling back in a game in the first half that it looked like they were getting dominated physically. I'll give them a ton of credit for that. Devin White is a stud for making the play, which changed the game. Super disappointed that the defense gave up the score at the end. And the bottom line is you had a chance to win it if your defense makes a play, and your defense didn't make a play, and their offense did. So you went to overtime, and you left it up to shitty college overtime rules, and that sucks. For me, though, and I know this was the conversation all week, I really don't feel like losing this game changes my opinion about where the program is. Like, losing a flukish 7 overtime game with a bunch of questionable calls and moments, like, that's not going to make me alter my perception of where the program is or going. It sucks today in this moment, no doubt, but you went on the road and played a really good team and you lost. You lost in a flukish manner in overtime. I mean, credit A&M, they made plays. You made a shitload of plays too. I thought Joe Burrow played his best game by a mile today. It sucks they lost. I still think they got a great shot at going to a New Year's Six game. It's probably the Peach Bowl, against Central Florida, but I'll take that. I'll take that. I don't think the committee's going to crush LSU for losing a 7 overtime game on the road to a ranked team. So, as much as it sucks and you wanted to win that game, I didn't put as much into this game tonight as grand scheme, as I know, like T-Bob and I talked about this a ton on pregame. I'm sure y'all talked about it this week also. I just didn't put as much into this game as other people did. Um, as far as the gravity of it. It sucks that it would have been great to win. It sucks that you lost, but I think
Well,
it's
I
still a
think,
hell of a season for
look,
LSU,
if
man.
you
That's
look
a hell of a
at the
season.
starting point and where they've ended here in the regular season, it's tough to argue the improvement that they made, man. I mean, from the start of the season to win 9 games and the expectation of what was thought to be of the LSU football program going into the year. I mean, they accomplished a lot to end the year, to end the season, such a successful one on a note like this. I get you on a quirky 7 overtime loss. You still see that that's Jimbo Fisher on the other sideline. You still see that that's Texas A&M, and the ramifications on what you could have accomplished tonight, I think, is really what's going to settle in and knock you upside the head and punch you across the face of what could have been with tonight's win. So I agree with you. A successful season. I think that Ogeron's probably going to get a contract extension in the offseason for what he accomplished here in year 2. And you know how coaches like to be able to recruit their or coach with their contracts to be relative to their recruiting cycle. And this would be the summer that he would go to the negotiating table. So I think that he'll probably get an extension out of it. I think he'll have to answer questions about his offense. But there's been marketable improvement in year 2 and something to grow on. Now he's got to close this recruiting class, because going into the year, I falling in line of what the expectations were. You just kind of thought, look, don't lose the optics of this season. Don't get blown out. Don't go on the road to somewhere like Texas A&M or a neutral site game against Miami and have bad optics. And they were able to avoid that. Now they need to close strong in recruiting and build for the future, because they definitely have some holes, man. I mean, I saw somebody asking earlier on, we were talking about the Deculus situation, and I was talking about outmanned and just personnel being off there. I mean, and somebody saying that they don't have that personnel drop off. They do in some spots. I mean, they're not equipped to week in, week out compete in the trenches. I mean, look at what happened against Alabama. Look what happened against Florida. Look at what happened again here tonight against Texas A&M in some spots. You've got to be able to protect for an SEC schedule week in every single Saturday, and LSU's not there yet. So, I mean, some things have to be answered in recruiting with personnel. There'll be some questions and some things that have to be answered with the coaching staff. But year 2 under Ed Ogeron was an improvement for the LSU football program, and I think a success going in. I like you, Scone, don't think that the door is shut on a New Year's Day, Big Six Bowl. But even if it is, I mean, I think there's some positive to take into the offseason that you can grow on for the program. A tough way to end the regular season, though, man. 7 overtimes. That's just a tough way to lose it. But, yeah.
So, someone asked if A&M covered the spread. They didn't. They were. It was 3. They didn't cover. I think the total went over, though. I'm pretty sure.
Hey, real quick, shout out to this platform and to the people out there for making this a success for another season here in year 2 in the Register Bar. We thank every week. If you're still out and about, still before midnight over there in Baton Rouge, if you want to go catch some live entertainment, it's happening downtown on 3rd Street at the old Brew House with the Register Bar. Appreciate everybody over there for their support throughout the season. We'll have one more broadcast for you in the bowl season. I know that we've talked about a little bit and doing this in different categories and spaces, and we're gonna probably bring that at some point outside of football season. But I just want to tell our listeners for sharing and commenting and staying up with us after the games that really you make this a success. So thank you very much, and hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
For sure, bro. Many thanks to Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. We appreciate them both, man. Aesthetic and Register Bar. Ask y'all all the time if y'all could, man. It's the way y'all could help us find their their link in this post up there at the top in the description and like their page. That's a big help. We appreciate them for letting us do this all year, man. So we'll have a bowl game, man. I guess we'll find out in a week from tomorrow. We'll find out where LSU's
All right, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hopefully
from
it's a big
Orlando.
one.
Good night, Scone. Red, bro.
Yeah, man.